Okay, good. Are you all ready?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Let's see here. All right, it is Wednesday, February 23rd of 2022. And I have coming up on 6 p.m. I hereby call the Castle Hills CCPD Board of Directors meeting to order and determine if a quorum is present. A quorum is present. First item on the agenda will be if there's any citizen comments. I don't have anybody in the audience. Is there anybody online that can make comments at this point? I'm not sure how we're being viewed. Okay. Okay, great. Thank you for checking on that, Chief. I appreciate that. So, okay, so no citizen comments. Let's go ahead and move on to agenda item number 3, which is the consent agenda. On the consent agenda, before I present it, I want to go ahead and make a recommendation or that we alter one item. It's probably just me being picky, but we are listed as commissioners per local government code. We are actually directors, and so with that amendment, I'd like to go ahead and present this consent agenda. Do I have a motion? Okay, I have a motion. And do I have? Okay, are we catching whose motions, by the way, too? I want to make sure. So Director Ingram has made the motion. Do we have a second? Second, okay. Director Hurst, any discussion on the consent agenda? Okay, no discussion. If we approve it, let's go ahead and vote on the approval as amended. All in favor, raise your right hand. Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you, directors. It'll take me a bit to say directors, by the way, too. So, so appreciate that. Okay, under new business, agenda item number 4, new business. Let's item number 4.1, present and review of the 2021 fourth quarter report. Chief Zuniga.
Board, thanks for coming in tonight. So what I presented y'all when I sent y'all everything out, I sent y'all the fourth quarter for 2021. President Squires had asked for the budget for 2022, which I've provided. Unfortunately, it's in the micro form. Y'all need some magnifiers, I guess. But anyways, so the ones that I presented to y'all, actually, you need to go. Scroll all the way up. There you go. So like I said, this is the expenditures, revenue and expenditures for 2021 fourth quarter. I sent y'all all out the invoices and everything that we, for all the expenditures that we made for the fourth quarter, as well as a few that were included for January. They're all up there. We can scroll down if anybody made any notes or has any questions about any of the expenses. Go to the next one, the expenditures and disbursements.
Chief, is there any items to point out that may be a bit different from what previous expenditures that you've had in previous quarters?
None at all, sir. Everything is in line as it has been in the past. We typically in the beginning of the year, we don't hit the CCPD. We go through general budget, and then towards the end of the year, we start going into the CCPD. There are some items that we do purchase through, equipment, vehicles and so forth that obviously are throughout the year.
Okay.
But nothing out of line. Like I said, all the invoices that I provided, that I sent y'all, like I said, we do have them here. I just didn't want to print all this stack of paperwork of invoices. But yeah, there's nothing out of the ordinary.
Okay, okay. And I received your email and all the invoices and all the supporting documentation, and I had a chance to take a look at it. Did the other members of the board have a chance to? I assume everybody did receive the email as well too. Wonderful, wonderful. So, okay, great. Any questions by anybody on the board for the chief in regards to the expenditures from the fourth quarter 2021? Okay, great. Thank you, Chief. Before we move forward to item 4.2, I was deficient in not announcing that Director Patsy Martin and Director Frank Tobar are absent. They're not here, obviously, but they did notify in advance that they could not attend this meeting. So I want to get that on record. Okay, agenda item 4.2. It's a present and review fleet status and purchase update. Chief Zuniga.
So over the last couple of months, we've been kind of busy with fleet accidents and so forth. I'm not sure if y'all are aware that in December 19th, I believe, we lost another unit. It was totaled. It was deemed totaled by USAA. That was one of the invoices that I sent y'all, the quote. They assessed the value on that total loss as $34,655.31. We also purchased a replacement step Tahoe or step unit that was due for replacement last year. We've been trying to find a replacement vehicle. Again, vehicle shortages, police vehicles are hard to come by. We were able to locate a 2022 Ford Explorer, the police interceptor. So that's still at the upfitters, getting installed with, lights, radio and all that. So it'll hit the street. Now what happened with the total unit, well, let me go backtrack on the step unit. What we did, the silver Tahoe that we have, it's a 2016 model as well, but it still was relatively well on the miles. It wasn't high. So what we did, we elected to keep that one and leave it on fleet. That'll still be driven as a step unit. Mm-hmm. And then we downed unit 2, which that one will come up here shortly on another line item. Because that one is a 2016 model as well, but it had a higher miles and a lot of maintenance that were related to the vehicle, out of warranty. Those were the first Explorers that we purchased back in 2016. One of the only ones left. As far as the total vehicle, that was a 2020 Ford Explorer that was totaled. Again, the insurance paid us the $34,000. I was driving one of the surplus unmarked Explorers. A couple of years ago when we got into the COVID thing and we were still driving the Dodge Chargers. They were just falling apart, keeping them together with baling wire and masking tape and everything, but we managed. Chief Siemens at the time requested that we locate a couple of vehicles. I found a couple of Tahoes up in Dallas. So we purchased those to keep us, moving. And then after that, of course, Ford finally produced the new Explorers that we got. We got 5 of them, but we had those 2 surplus really. So myself and one of the detectives took those 2 units. Well, since that time now, both of those have been totaled. So like I said, I gave up my surplus unit and it's up at the shop as well, getting upfitted to hit the street. In lieu, I also went out and purchased a vehicle to replace mine and took that also out of the traffic unit. In that item, if you go back, we had a it shows 60,000 on here. As far as the traffic units, we actually have 75,000 or have, because we already bought the that other Explorer to replace the step unit.
Pardon me, Chief, can Captain Wagner can catch up to where you're at. I'm trying to find those numbers as you're going through. I'm so sorry.
Keep going up. No, the other way. Down, sorry. Go to the next page. No. That one, but just keep going. One more. So on this one, keep going. Right there. So future traffic vehicles, okay. It's showing 60,000, but there's actually 75,000, or there was, like I said, that was a total balance in there. This one was as of, I think it was January was the print date, and they haven't caught up on getting those up to date. But we checked the balances, and so that's where I took the remaining 8,000 out of that to buy the replacement vehicle. Because I said with 34,000 from the insurance, and then the residual was $8,422.
Okay.
So everything balances there.
Okay.
What was the other one? That's it as far as the vehicles. We're doing well with the units. Hopefully we can keep them out of the body shops. But it hurts. It hurts when they go in because it adds miles to the other cars because now we're short cars. So, but we're pushing through.
So as in regards to the number of units that you now have, you have the units you need for
That is
the,
correct. We have not increased any vehicles. We're still at 8 vehicles total, not including the unmarks. That's 5. So we have 13 total vehicles.
okay. One thing, since we're talking about the review of the fleet, I'm curious in regards to the maintenance of the fleet. My desire is to support our city, and if indeed it's economically appropriate, but I hopefully the maintenance that you can utilize locally as much as reasonable. Number one, it supports our city. Number two, it saves time, the officers' time to maintain our vehicles versus having to run outside the city as well too. And so I don't know what the plan, I don't know what your MO is on that to do that.
We try to stay within the city or as close to, locally, we use Castle Hills Loop for oil changes. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to find somebody inside the city that will do maintenance, brakes and so forth.
Okay.
So we use New Age Auto here on West Avenue, just past the railroad tracks.
Okay.
He's given us good prices there.
Good quality.
Oh, yes, good
Okay.
quality. And he gets them in and out as fast as he can.
So we're saving time too.
And
okay.
then tires, we utilize both Discount and Firestone.
Okay. All right, good. Thank you for commenting on that. I appreciate that. So,
Yes, sir.
okay. Does any of the directors have any questions in regards to the report?
About the tires. I know there was issue in the past. When you get a flat out on the street, what's the procedure for that?
So we, the officers they call Richards Towing, and they come out and they do it at free pro bono, say they don't charge us to replace the tire. They'll do it out there, or if they need to, they'll move the vehicle off to a safe place to change the tire.
Okay, that's what I was wondering.
Right.
And was going to suggest that.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Okay, thank you, Chief. All right, let's go on and move on to agenda item 4.3, discussion and possible action on the liquidation/sale of decommissioned patrol unit to fire department. Chief, it's you again.
So I did insert a letter from the chief to explain to y'all how he was proposing to use the vehicle for their department. Right now, they presently just use that, I forget what year it is, that Chevy pickup. I think it's a 2013 model maybe. And so they share that between them, himself and Captain Kirby or Chief Kirby, Assistant Chief Covey. So I told him that we had one that was probably fixing to be traded in or go to auction. And he said he was interested. And I said, well, I just need to get, clarification from y'all, what y'all wanted to do to liquidate the vehicle. I said, it either goes to auction or we trade it in, is generally how we've handled all the other sales of used vehicles, decommissioned vehicles. So I attached that letter, and I also spent the afternoon over at 2 dealerships trying to get appraisals on these. So I kind of gave you an idea of what the vehicle's value was still at. Surprisingly, it's holding around 13,000. They're going to have to put some money into it themselves to, get it back to great condition. But I also attached some photos of the vehicle. It's still a good running vehicle, but I don't know what y'all want to do as far as giving them the option, coming up with a price tag for it, and offering it to them for for sale to transfer to their department.
Okay, any other comments on that yet?
No, sir, that's it.
Okay, since this is an action item, I would ask for a motion and a second for discussion on this item. Okay, thank you, Director. Appreciate it. Do I have a second for discussion?
I'll second it.
Okay, thank you. All right, so who would like to go first? Tom, you want to start or?
Sound like we have all the documentation and everything, so I think it's always good to work within the departments and keep it like that. So everything looks above board and all the finances have been documented. So if everybody agrees, I think it sounds good.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Next.
Chief, you have enough vehicles?
Yeah, we're good right now. Like I said, we have two that are still downtown. One of them should be coming out any day now. That's what they keep telling me, any day.
Okay.
But
Okay.
and then the other one, my old unit should be coming out in the next couple of weeks.
Okay.
So we're okay with units. And like I said, that one it really wasn't driven too much. Like I said, we just seem to be putting more money into it as far as for maintenance, brakes or whatever, and tires unnecessarily.
Mhm.
When we had all these other fleet units.
Okay.
Okay.
Good. Thank you.
All right, Director Ingram? Okay, all right, good deal. Director Kaufman? Any questions? Okay, I always have questions, so y'all got to bear with me for a second anyways. I want to make sure is in regards to our respective budgets. I see the $13,000 appraisal, and then CarMax did an appraisal for, looks like $13,500. If you transfer this asset from the CCPD budget to the fire department, can you explain how we're going to make that square?
So what'll happen is Chief Ladowig will, however that happens next door in accounting, he'll request a transfer of whatever amount y'all decide on,
Okay,
and it'll go back into CCPD, probably into the patrol unit line item, because that was a
Okay.
patrol unit.
do we have a dollar amount of that budget? Because we have to stay above board in that regard. And just to so you know, if I ask, because if we're going to approve this, we probably need to approve it, include the budget amount in that motion as well too.
As of December, that amount is showing 60,000 for patrol car purchase.
Okay, I'm sorry, let me rephrase the question. What I want to make sure of is what is the dollar amount that's going to transfer from the fire department, the respective fire department budget, back to the CCPD budget?
Oh, that's entirely y'all's decision. Y'all decide y'all want to sell it for $1 or 13.5.
Okay, okay.
Y'all make that decision. I just wanted to provide y'all with that appraisal to kind of give us an idea. I didn't want to come up here and say, well, I don't know, $5,000.
Has there been any discussion with the chief in regards to what's appropriate?
Yes, he's got a particular dollar amount, and this is well within his parameter that he was.
May I ask you what is well within the amount? Sorry to be direct on this.
I don't want to quote exactly because he just threw a number out there and he didn't know exactly without pulling it, but he off the top of his mind, he was throwing a dollar amount out there.
Okay.
But like I said, he's well within this.
What was the amount?
I can't quote exactly what he said and the exact amount. He was just speaking off the top of his head what he had in his budget.
Gotcha.
That he could.
Gotcha.
He could cover.
So I think it
just
makes
didn't
sense
have
to try to.
I'm sorry, he just doesn't have enough to buy a new vehicle.
Okay, right. And they're really stupid expensive right now too. So we were looking and said, nope, we're going to wait. I think it makes sense. The only thing is I have these offers here. You have a 13 and a 13.5 offer from I guess Red McCombs, and it looks like CarMax.
That's correct.
So if we were to sell it to one of them, the 13,500, for example, if it went to CarMax, would come back into our budget. Is that correct?
The same way, anything, even if we traded them, obviously they'd be credited to the new
Right, to the new
vehicle.
purchase, right?
Go to auction like we've done in the past, that
Mhm.
money gets credited back into CCPD.
Okay. Hypothetical question at this point, though, but if we were to say, based on one of these offers, and I think I'm going to throw it out there, to transfer that's what we would like to move that unit over to the fire department for. Does that have, my question, does that have legs? Is that an appropriate dollar amount for our fire chief? Does he have in the funds to go ahead and do that?
He does. Yes, he does. Like I said, I hate to say that he gave me this amount and then he didn't check to verify that he didn't have that amount.
Right.
And then, but he said off the top of his head, he thought he had enough to cover, especially this amount.
Okay.
But like I said, it doesn't, these are just appraisals that I got that it's going at. I mean, the
Right.
vehicle is outside, y'all want to go look at it. Like I said, it needs some
Thank you for the offer.
TLC, but
Okay.
What would we get at auction, just off the top of your head?
maybe 5,000.
Right.
I think since we've got these two offers documented and they're hard and they're agreeable, if we were doing this to another city or something like that, maybe you want to try to jack it up a couple of thousand, but to save everybody's time, I think, since the city of Castle Hills Fire Department, I would just say, do the $13,000. And if he's told you he's agreeable to that, we just make the motion to do that and see if it works. Cause I don't think it's not worth taking it to auction or messing around with anybody's time since you've got everything right here in black and white.
Yeah, I think that's very reasonable.
Or if it's at the end of its service life for the PD, drop it a couple thousand to make sure he stays within his budget. Because it's going to be utilized for the citizens of the city.
Mhm. Okay. Any other thoughts on it? All right. Tom, would you like to make that into a motion? Are you okay with that, or you? Yeah, that would be a transfer of the unit for $13,000.
Yeah, I move that we go ahead and transfer this vehicle over to the fire department at the agreed upon documented price of $13,000 transfer between budgets.
Okay, is that a fair motion?
Sounds good.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you, sir. Okay, so I have a motion to transfer the unit for $13,000 from the police department to the fire department. Do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Okay, thank you for the second. Okay, any other discussion? Okay, all in favor? Okay, it's unanimous. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Mhm. Okay, agenda item number 4.4, present and review and demonstration of a police equipment, Guardian Light, Captain Wagner and Director Evans.
So real briefly, Director Evans had sent me a message a couple of weeks ago or so to inquire and to see if there was any equipment that the police department could, purchase to help keep our officers safe and so forth, out there in the street. And this was presented also in earlier meetings as well. In that time, Captain Wagner, some of the other guys in patrol had already been using these lights and they're very effective, but I'll let Captain Wagner.
Hello. Like the chief said, some of the other officers purchase it on their own dime. Some of this equipment and, considering what happened to our department in June of 19, we had 2 officers had to jump off a bridge at a crash scene. People passed away in that accident. Chief and I, one of our priorities is the safety of our officers. And we thought these things are an efficient way to help our officers be seen, especially on 410 at night or any other military. These lights, well, I'll show you in a minute, are very bright. They're LED, they're red and blues. There's also a nice feature is an infrared flash strobe on the very top. That allows our officers to be seen by our friends in law enforcement with DPS and SAPD and their Eagle and helicopters. They have infrared. That flash can't be seen by the human eye, but it just strobes on infrared. So if officers are on foot looking for a suspect in your backyard, yeah, eagles flying around, circling, the officer won't have the strobes on, the red and blues, because that's going to give away his position. But that infrared strobe will continuously flash until he turns it off. That way, the helicopter knows that it's an officer. You're not going to have a suspect flashing something like that. And if that officer is down or something like that, that flash can help save his life. We can get help to that officer. These were priced out online. I made a phone call. We were able to get a little bit of money off and some upgraded lapel holders for these things, so they're more secure. So we got a little bit of free out of it, and they wanted to establish a relationship with us in the future. We bought 10 total, enough to cover a fully staffed swing shift, which is from 2:30 to 10:30, so that's some overnight coverage, and our dog watch shift that they were fully staffed with a couple extras in case they go down. So we spent a little over $1,000 for them for all the units, and I'll just show you what they do. The officer, on a traffic stop, a crash, if he just hits this button, and you see how bright it is. It flashes from behind. So the officer is walking to a car. Here's the car. He always has that flash going. At any time, he can turn it off and turn on the light to work. This doesn't affect our body cameras. It actually helps our body cameras. If the officer has something in his hand, like a driver's license, they can read whose name is on the picture and all that stuff. So they're great.
Recently went out to the range and qualified, and actually took the work and put them down the ground. It really throw silhouettes off. So very effective. Early time. Also used it.
Yes, he used it during a stolen vehicle pursuit. Vehicle crashed out right there at 410 Blanco. The guy runs across 410. This is overnight, all this traffic. Our officers chasing after him on foot with this on, and he felt that this really helped him not get hit. This car would have seen him. I'll walk back a little bit, y'all can see how bright it is. And this is lit up room.
One of the sergeants found that told him. Really good.
So do our officers turn that on every time they make a stop, or I guess maybe at night when they feel there's maybe some traffic coming up, or is that the
Well, I think
for their safety?
Yes, sir. A traffic stop, they're pretty much turn them on. Some calls they're not using it to. When there's a need to let motorists know,
That's what this
that's
is.
the
Okay.
primary deal.
Okay.
They need to know, they need to be able to see a police officer.
Yeah, and at night, I can't see, the uniform is dark.
Right.
And, if I see a flashing light, it's like, oh, like everybody does.
Yeah.
And so that's pretty awesome.
The fact that the heat that comes out from the outfitter, they're installing a different system on there, which actually at night very much slow the flash the lights, so it's not so blinding. Which tends to attract them
Mhm.
to the unit. This flash, it just slows strobing or flashing, and they've done studies on it, and so we decided to go that route with that one, try it out and see how it works.
So would that be in addition to these two, once they, I mean, if they're proven out, once these wear out, or is that the plan?
Yeah, depending on how they work out, for us, we'll in future purchases, we'll have something like that. It's a module that's installed. It's not the light bar. Light bar will do whatever you program it to do.
Right,
It's
right.
just the module that they add.
Okay. Wonderful. And that would remain in the car?
That is correct.
Okay.
Which one,
okay.
these?
No, the one you're talking about.
No, it's installed into the control heads for the light bars and all, in all the units.
Right. Okay. Well, that's good because that's wonderful. It is distracting sometimes, those lights flashing so fast at you.
Well, and I've noticed it with the new units. So I think there was a traffic stop on 410 and with all the real quick, bright, white light, I was starting to drift over.
Yeah.
Oh, it just clips on.
Captain, how long do they last?
Well, they're rechargeable, so not battery operated, recharge them on USB.
Okay.
Great.
Okay. Okay, do we have any questions on the piece of equipment? Wonderful. And Chief, thanks for the potential update to make it even a bit safer for motorists coming up too. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
So,
Thank
and
you.
of course, for our officers, that's important. I want to keep them around. They do a good job. Okay. All right, agenda item number 4.5, discussion review of the CCPD member handbook. Let me start off at that. As part of the putting together this agenda, I had a request to get a better handle on our responsibilities and what our purview is for helping our department or the police department. And so I wanted to make sure we all had a copy of our handbook and know what we can and cannot do or should and should not do. And I figured this would be good information just for us to have. I take it you do have copies for, unfortunately, our two members that are absent, so they can get them as well.
That's
when
correct.
they return. Awesome. Man, make sure they get them too, please. And so one of the things that I read, and I did review the handbook, not in detail, but in brief, but I also was looking up, and thanks for providing it, Chief, the local government code for a CCPD. And I have my notes here somewhere on it. Here it is. So if you look at, let me see here. It's local government code section 363151, subchapter D, powers and duties. It says district responsibilities, limitations on expenditures. It says the district, which we are, may finance all costs of a crime control and crime prevention program, including the cost for personnel, administration, expansion, enhancement, and capital expenditures. And it goes on to say this program may include police and law enforcement related programs, including crime analysis. It goes on. There's parts B, C, and D. I won't get into all the details anyways, but it does provide some a broad area of areas that we can help in: public safety, public information. I know some of the things that our officers are doing for the kids and stuff that they're doing. It all does fall under this purview, as I understand it. And so, again, my concern was to make sure we stay within what we are supposed to do as members of this board or directors of this board. And so, on the handbook for the Castle Hills Crime Control, let's see here. If you look at it, we have our mission statement and purpose and a listing of the board and directors and basically our responsibilities and the responsibilities of others. One quick question I had, and I may have asked this, and if I didn't, Chief, it also mentioned an administrator. My assumption, and I hate to do that, would be that our chief is the administrator, but I'd like clarification on that because it doesn't say here. I don't see a definition of administrator, and I may have missed it.
So yeah, that's where me or myself or the captain would be the administrators for.
Okay. So we're going to have, we could come to both of you all if we need something in regards to that role. Is that correct?
I'm sorry, one more time, sir?
We could come to either of you all for that role.
That is correct.
Okay. Because it has some specific duties of the administrator in here, and I want to make sure we do follow within that realm anyway. So, but since I brought this up and I've taken up all the time here, I wanted to open this thing up. Do we have any questions or any discussions on this particular item? You know, in particular, our CCPD member handbook. Did it generate any questions of anybody? Is there any clarifications anybody's needing on it? We got our two most qualified people here to ask, so I want to ask the questions right now anyway. So, and again, thank you for putting it together and getting it out to us. I appreciate that.
Yes, sir.
So, any thoughts on that? Any questions or anything? Okay, all right, wonderful. Well, thank you on that one. So we'll go ahead and move forward. Before I do, Chief, do you have anything you want to add to this?
I do not. Enlighten me, going back to the vehicle sale, can we go back to that or is it closed? I just needed to ask one more question on that for clarification.
If it's just a clarification, I don't see any harm in that.
So, I guess I should have, as my fault, in the event that fire does not want to purchase this vehicle, the other option would be I could take it to like CarMax.
Mhm.
Again, I didn't ask that, so I don't know.
Well, since we've already, that's a good question. The way I see it is we already voted on it. Let's go ahead and hope the chief can take it. And if not, I think we got to bring it back to the board again because we didn't vote on disposing of it.
Well, other than that, like I said, other than that, I just, you know, we either auction them or they go as trade-ins. But this is a good deal that if he elects not to buy it, then I would say.
Okay, so let me ask you this, since I'm not familiar. In the past, when you had to get rid of a vehicle, did you have to bring it before the board to go ahead and actually trade it in or sell it to the auction?
No, sir.
Okay. Then I think you can use your best judgment on it. You know, we got a 13,001, we got wherever anyways on here, we have, you know, maximize the value for the budget at that point, I would say.
Absolutely.
So,
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
absolutely. Okay, anything else?
No, sir.
Okay, great. Okay, under agenda number 5.1, discussion and possible, oh, correct. First of all, let's open this up. It does say announcements. I want to throw this out there. First of all, any announcements for any of the board members? Okay, thank you. And then discussion possible action on the scheduling of the next meeting date. Do we have any potential meeting dates? And I know I want to stay within some of the our policies and procedures on when we need to schedule that next meeting as well too. But I think we're looking for a quarterly meeting at this point.
Something comes up.
As I understand it, and Chief, help me if I'm wrong anyways, but we have to meet quarterly at this point. Am I correct or not?
It's recommended that, you know, just to update, that way we, you know, we can present the expenditures and so forth. And, you know, we don't have to go all the way back to wherever I can just do the quarters and then we just keep moving on. I think we got February there. You should have 4 meetings through the year. You'll have one April, May, and then another one. And I may be wrong. There's a time frame that y'all need to have as far as budget,
Right.
Electing the budget, and then so we can present it to council.
Okay. Okay. Well, as I read this, it basically tells me that you'll present us basically your activity, your scan copies and checks in the Form 1 and 1A within, as I'm reading it, 10 days of the beginning of each quarter. It doesn't say we have to have a meeting necessarily, but yeah, and it says you can do it by email, which I think is probably the easiest way to do it at this point.
Unless somebody, I know Mr. Tawad prefers to have hard copies, so I did print for him
Awesome.
hard copies, but if everybody else is good with it, I'd like to just continue to email.
Okay, yeah, if you would then. So basically our ending of the quarter is March 31, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so basically the first 10 days of sometime after that, in that first week or so of April, and we'll just look for our first quarter of information of how the expenditures went for the first quarter 2022. So, okay. So do we have any suggestions for our next meeting date then?
So just to clarify, so for in terms of you presenting the budget to us for review, that has to be done before September?
Right. I believe it has to be done, I believe, September. And it may be in August. I'm not sure. I have to look up the
Is
exact
that- I
dates.
mean, does the council vote on it in September?
Yes.
Okay, so we probably want to have the budget completed before then. So
Yeah.
that would be, no later than the end of August.
Okay.
I mean, preferably earlier. So if we do our next meeting in, say, sometime in late April, maybe, and then we do our
To put
meeting for the
together our.
budget, should it be in July or August?
So we have to, I think we have this 100-day window to put together a budget or start that process, if I'm not mistaken.
Something like that, yes, sir.
Hmm?
Something like that, yes, sir.
Okay, and then we have a 10-day window to have it presented to vote on by the Castle Hill City Council. And then there's the auditing of the prior year budget is involved in there too. And I was looking at the dates, but there's a lot of dates I was going through to try to make sure we do this and follow this properly. So, but I think what you're suggesting is very reasonable. We need to start that. Well, we will need to start that process. Exactly. And so is it appropriate to start it at the end of April timeframe? My question is that historically, when did we start the budget process to start that?
It starts usually in June.
Okay,
We'll present, the budget, last year's and this year's, what are proposed for 2022 and our proposed budget for 2023.
okay,
On last year's budget, all we did, at the recommendation of the board, we increased some of the line items to accommodate the inflation.
okay.
I was just going to say, because I'm in my folder, I've got copies of last year's minutes and stuff. And last year in our August meeting, we had a public hearing for the budget. So I can't remember if we did one in July before that, or if that was the first one. And then, because we had to give it to the city council, 30 days or 60 days before. But anyway, last year on August 25th, under new business, we had the public hearing on the proposed budget.
Right, I think that we did a meeting back to back, and I may be wrong, I don't remember. We did a meeting back to back, and then the next one was that public hearing. And it was voted on and push it forward to council.
Okay,
I have to get you the dates, the timeframes. I'll have to look them up. I'm getting old.
okay. I guess there's some certain times we're gonna have to meet, and there's times that we may want to meet to help continue the business of what we're trying to do here too. And so, and if we want to meet in April, I think it's not a critical time at this point as of yet. We can start some of the processes and anything else that comes up in the meantime. I'm amenable. I want to be involved and help where it makes sense, but not overburdened, I guess, too. And so I think that's a proposal. Your suggestion makes some good sense to me at this point in time, because in the next meeting, if we do in April, it would be probably May, June, July-ish timeframe, which is going to be right in the middle of the budget at that point.
Right.
So absolutely. So we have a April, do we want to peg we always want to peg a date, I guess, at this point too.
Toward the end of April, like the 27th?
I don't have my calendar up, I'm sorry.
Yeah, Wednesday is the 27th. The 27th is a Wednesday.
Is there any city council or any conflicting?
No, not on Wednesdays. And if we have it set already, then it's ours.
I feel like also that'll be just less than 1 month out from the end of the first quarter.
Yes. Yeah, so, okay. Well, so we have I'm going to take it, we have a, do you want to make that a motion?
Sure. I hereby move to, I propose that we schedule the next CCPD meeting on Wednesday, April 27th at 6 p.m.
Okay, awesome.
I'll second that.
Okay, thank you. So we have a motion and a second.
Richard.
Richard, yeah.
So I have a question to clarify. Do you still want all the documents at the very first part of April, or can it wait till right before that meeting?
what I would suggest is that we stay within the guidelines at this point of our policies and procedures, and let that be our guidance document. And so if it dictates that we have it 10 days after the first quarter, after the end of the quarter, I think we should stick by that at this point in time to be within our guidelines at this point.
Okay.
I don't want to violate any of that at this point, and so unless we decide that down the road, this is something we want to modify that makes more sense for us. But at this point in time, it's pretty much our guidance document.
Okay.
Okay, so we have a motion for April 27th at 6 PM for our next regularly scheduled meeting. We have a second on that. And to be clear, we have a motion by Director Ingram and a second by Director Evans. Any discussion on that? Okay, all in favor? It's unanimous. All right, thank you. Okay. Oh, I missed this. And now we have comments too. I'm gonna throw this at her again. I apologize. Any member comments? I'm sorry, I'm saying it twice, but. All right. Thank you, gentlemen. Okay. It is now, let me see here, 6:45. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Okay, I have a motion to adjourn. And I have a second by Director Hurst. All in favor? All right, we're adjourned. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.